Hi guys. So one of the questions that patients often ask me is whether if they have an injection, if it just masks the injury and whether there's any use in that. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you that the answer to that is yes and no, and why it can be useful to have injections sometimes. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mareka. I'm one of the physiotherapists from sportsinjuryphysio.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your injuries. Have a look at the description of this video if you want a link to our website. Okay, so injections, do they mask injuries? Well, it depends on the condition. So you've got to remember that not all injuries is caused by things that tear or sprain. Some injuries, there's actually excessive swelling or inflammatory process involved, which is causing the trouble. So a very common one is shoulder bursitis, where subacromial bursitis, where the bursa in the shoulder joint has swollen to such an extent and is so irritable that it just doesn't want to calm down, and you can't get on with your exercises because this thing keeps on impinging. And an injection into that bursa can make a big difference because it takes the swelling down, takes the pressure down, and then patients can usually get on and get better. Another example is frozen shoulders. So with frozen shoulders, you've got an overactive inflammatory response, and it's not a natural response that you've got. You know how I always go on about do not use anti-inflammatories for sports injuries because you need the inflammatory reaction. Frozen shoulders is a good example of one where it's actually over reaction from the immune system. So you're getting excessive inflammation, excessive adhesion formation. And for those, corticosteroid injections can really help in the early days to help settle that process and get it moving more quickly. Also thinking of, so it depends on what type of condition it is. If you've torn a muscle and that's really painful, you think, oh, if I have injection, pain goes away, I can do something. Then you're looking for trouble, because a torn muscle will be painful at the beginning, but as it heals, the pain will settle and you will get better as you strengthen it. An injection will just be masking that pain, and you will be looking for trouble if you then go and train on it. But I'll explain to you how you can decide between the two in a minute. It also depends on the type of injection. So thinking of PRP injections, for instance, they are thought to actually stimulate collagen production because you're injecting your own platelets into your tissue, and they secrete certain hormones that can stimulate the healing process. Whereas if we think of high volume injections, where they just inject a high volume of clear fluid, they use it a lot for tendons specifically, but also for frozen shoulders. Then for frozen shoulders, what that does is it just stretches the capsule. So it allows you more range of movement. Whereas in the olden days, they tend to just go in and manipulate that shoulder under an anesthetic, which is quite traumatic. So that's actually a brilliant way of using an injection. High volume injections for tendons can be brilliant at pain, bringing the pain down. So if your rehab can't progress and you've really tried a rehab program and you just can't get going because it's such a painful tendon, a high volume injection may be of use, especially for Achilles tendons, mid-portion Achilles tendons. Steroid injections, those I want to caution you against, because they are mainly that they work brilliantly at killing pain, but they also have quite a lot of side effects and they're not very good for the body. So steroids should be really restricted to the conditions where they really, really need it. There are still people using them for tendon injuries, which is quite detrimental because steroids actually stops or affects tendon healing and tendon health. But because they work so well to calm the pain down from tendon injuries, doctors tend to still do them because patients like it when they're pain-free. But in that case, I would say that's just going to mask your injury, and it may very well put you in a worse off place from where you started. So you can see how it depends on the condition and what's driving the symptoms, plus what type of injection you do. And of course, I've not mentioned every single injection out there. It's different for different people and different stages of their healing and per condition. So the main thing how you can decide whether an injection would be a good idea or not is as follows. It depends on what you've tried already. So it should never, well, I say never, there's always exclusions in medicine, but 9 times out of 10, it should not be the first choice of treatment. So most injuries heal within 6 to 12 weeks, okay? So anything before 12 weeks, unless you're in excruciating pain and things are really not moving in the right direction, you should really be trying a rehab program or something else first. It's usually only when rehab and a conservative management program has failed and not shown any progress that they should be considered. So what do I mean with this? You have to make sure that your rehab program is actually the right rehab for you. So I often get these messages from people saying, I've tried physio, didn't work, what else can I do? And then I go, well, what physio did you try? Oh, they put some electrodes on me and did some stimulation and they did some ultrasound, and that's not effective. That doesn't count as rehab. Rehab is a structured program where you have load management principles, so things you should do differently in your life for a while, activities you should decrease a little bit, activities you should increase a little bit to help with the healing response. Also, exercises, and not just the same exercises done for 12 weeks. You should be started on the easier versions of them that you can do relatively pain-free, and that should be progressed as you grow stronger. Otherwise, you won't see any benefit from it. So if you want to know whether if you want to say that physiotherapy or conservative treatment has failed, you've got to make sure that you actually were on the right treatment regime. Now, if pain is stopping you from starting any useful rehab program, and that definitely also happens, then I would consider an injection. So if you've given it at least 6 weeks and really been trying to do all the right load management things, trying to calm your injury down, trying to ease into easy rehab exercises, not just jump into the hard stuff, and it's just too excruciatingly painful, you just can't even do the simple things, then an injection may be useful, because then pain is separate from injury. We know from the research that the amount of pain you're in does not equal the severity of the injury. So people's injuries can often heal and their pain levels can still stay dramatically high. So in a situation like that, the pain is mismatched to the status of the injury. And if pain is the sole thing stopping you from starting your rehab, then injections can be useful. And we do use those type of things for tendon rehab, knee rehab and things often, where you really try, but it just doesn't want to respond. Then getting a type of injection like a high volume injection, sometimes PRP, can be a useful way to just then calm it down. Yeah, we're masking the pain, but you need it to be masked in that sense because you need to be able to start with your proper rehab program. Yeah, and then intensity of pain. So there is honestly, I'm not talking about you're just fed up of having an ache all the time for the last 2 weeks. I'm talking about something like, say for instance, nerve injuries is a good example. If somebody's got severe nerve pain going down their leg, sciatica for instance, and they have really tried, worked closely with their GP pain management system and physio and stuff, and that pain level is just making their lives miserable that they can't do anything. An injection may really be indicated because there's always the thing of, yes, it shouldn't be first choice, but you know what? If you've lived with this thing for 6 weeks or so and there's no improvement and pain is making your life miserable, you need to go and have something done that can at least bring those pain levels down, that the system can start recovering. So you've had the severe pain, couldn't start with rehab, now you've had your injection, you're feeling much better. Please get rehab advice at that point, because the other mistake people then make is, remember, yes, that injection is masking your pain, it's not actually made it heal overnight. Even with PRP injections, now PRP injections hurt like mad after the first few days, but they do settle down and then people often start to feel a lot better. But remember, tendons and stuff takes a long time, several weeks to turn over and get stronger, and you do need exercise in a progressive program to get it properly strong. So don't just have the injection and then do nothing else. Have the injection, rest the days that your doctors say you've got to rest or take it easy for, and then go according to their advice and go see the physio and get your program from them. Okay, so I hope that answers your questions. If you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments or message me through the website. And if you need any more help with your injury, you're welcome to consult one of us via video call. Link to the website is in the description of this video. Take care.